Well, hey, good morning, everybody. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast. We discuss news and politics. I am your host. My name is Jared. If you looking to connect outside of this space, you can find me on Blue Sky. Okay. I do want to put this out there early. A colleague of mine, one of the very early supporters of the show in the movement, um, Brasher, if you remember, posted a comment on a TikTok I made and said, in terms of SNAP benefits not going out on November 1st, that she expects Donald Trump at like 4:50 p.m. on Friday to authorize the use of federal funds to pay SNAP benefits for November. Now, this is their theory on what happens. But the reason that I'm bringing it up is because if Donald Trump were to get away with that, right, the reverse rug pull, the rug replace, um, Brasher suggested this would make Donald Trump look great and make Democrats look really bad. So what I want to do, as someone who's neither a Republican or Democrat, I would say my hope is that the Democrats are cognizant of this, right? And that's all that this takes. And I understand that that's even a big ask, right? You're asking a bunch of people, gestures generally, to be cognizant that there is still, apparently, and I'm allowed to be wrong because I don't work for any of them people. I don't actually know if benefits could go out. I don't even know if that's still a possibility. I did a little Google foo, and it appears the way the media is reporting it, and that's where why we're talking about Brasher early. The way the media reported it is no. SNAP benefits are not going out on the first. So think about it. The media is saying SNAP benefits aren't going out on the first. This allows the media to make all this money off trying to blame somebody for it. hmm and keep in mind, the Republicans are blaming the Democrats. It's the Republicans' fault because they're in power. They have a friendly Supreme Court. The president, president. I was say vice president. The Senate and the House are all Republican led. So it's their government that they shut down. hmm Yeah. Good morning, Debs, Stacy, Kara, Gabby. My wife's probably watching too. Um, Taylor, good morning. We just made our NFL prediction video that we make. So if you watch football, so do we. And for 7, 8 years, Taylor and I have sat down every week before a down is played and try to predict the winners of the games. It's like a way to connect with, it's a way we tried to connect with our families and stuff. Okay. So I just want to put you on that tip, right? Somebody posted on a comment on my wall that I trust, that I hear what they're saying. Hey, don't be surprised if Donald Trump uses federal authorization to pay SNAP benefits for November and makes the Democrats look real bad. If the Democrats aren't cognizant and they don't get out in front of this and say, "Hey, there's still time, Don. There's still time. You could still be the hero, Don." They got to start doing that shit now. Because if you don't, you give him time to figure out, oh, there's a there's a fund that I could that isn't connected to anything I'm doing. But if we do that, it could improve your approval rating, Donald. And Donald Trump really gives a fuck about his approval rating. So if you're watching this and you're like, there ain't no fucking way he's gonna go back on fucking us over. Actually, uh, Gabby said something interesting I saw. Jessica Craven was hanging with Jamie Raskin. He said the Dems are not taking their pay till the shutdown's over. I don't really know what that means. You know what I mean? How do you stop getting paid? That's the only thing I'd ask, because that doesn't pass muster, right? How do you keep from getting paid? Can you not pay me? I just, words prove it. That's what I would say to Jamie Raskin. Oh, you're not taking a paycheck? How the fuck do you stop the government from paying you? I don't know how to do that. I'm sure the Republicans had no problem with that, right? So let's talk about the news. Nvidia is on target to become the world's first $5 trillion firm. Not only should there not be billionaires, there should not be companies worth 5 trillion fucking dollars. And understand the AI bubble is the only thing keeping the economy intact. Belgian defense minister says if Putin attacks NATO, Moscow will be wiped off the map. Yeah, right. Like, don't get it twisted. It benefits Donald Trump and it hurts the Democrats, so it absolutely makes sense, right? I just would wonder the how. You know what I'm saying? How do you turn off a paycheck? Bangladesh's fugitive ex-leader warns of mass voter boycott. Bangladesh fugitive former leader Sheikh Hasina has warned that excluding her Awami League party from next year's elections would deepen divisions in the country as millions of her supporters are set to boycott the vote. Now exiled in India, the 78-year-old is currently being tried for crimes against humanity after being toppled in August 2024 by a student-led uprising that, according to the United Nations, saw up to 1,400 people killed in crackdowns as she clung to power. Draconian is the band on the Awami. So this is the thing that I'm afraid of, right? Yeah, anybody that says I'm not taking a paycheck is fucking lying to you. They're taking a paycheck. They get paid like $4,000 every 2 weeks or some shit. Okay, they're all trying to enrich themselves. All of them. Donald Trump says he's reached a trade deal with South Korea, one of our allies. Whoop-de-doo. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. They get paid on the 1st and 15th. You can keep this. Oh, the American people are suffering. Bullshit, you are. Mass graves in Iraq. "81 of the 98 mass graves officially confirmed to be linked to the crimes of the former Ba'athist regime." New Zealand? Netherlands. Last election polls, support for far-right PVV plummeting. Just remember, I told you this. Moscow Times reporting Ukrainian drones have targeted 3 Russian industrial sites and have gotten 13 airports closed overnight. Share the show. Good morning. Fantastic hump day. Justice's waiting room. Daily podcast. On Twitch and YouTube. Sharing the show real quick. Hashtag JWR. As always, free Palestine, Slava Ukraine. So they went for the fuel, oil, airports. They're shutting down transportation within Russia. They're making it so Russia can't fuel all their aircraft and their tanks and stuff, and then drive them into Ukraine and use them. That's that's why you cut off their fuel supply and then attack their airports. Yes, Slava Ukraine. Here's a headline for you. Japan calls in the army after 10 people are killed by bears. Ha ha. Hell yeah. No? I think this was in Japanese Defense Force being mobilized to combat a growing population of aggressive bears in the country's north after the body of a woman in her 80s was found in a ditch. She is one of 10 people killed by bears since April, surpassing last year's national total of 6, adding to the 73 people injured or killed in Akita this month alone. The crisis has prompted Provincial Governor Kenta Suzuki to appeal to the national government for assistance. Hey, a legitimate reason to send in the army to your own country. Just throwing that out there. 10 people killed by bears, send the army. They're protesting because you're a traitor? Nope. Just take it, Don. So obviously, Sweden's Gripen jets are coming to Ukraine. So by the way, Ukraine's getting all kinds of toys. French Mirage 2000s, MiG 29s, Su 24s, Su 27s, American F 16s, 100 and 150 JAS 39 Gripen E fighter jets, the latest variant of Sweden's aircraft. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson cautioned that the deal is a journey for 10 to 15 years and doesn't include immediate deliveries. Aircraft are not easy to purchase. I'm going to look up this airplane. The Saab JAS Gripen. About 300 of them in existence, so that's probably why I've never heard of it. Interesting looking plane. Zeke said we don't even taste good. All that plastic and shit. Yeah, Gabby. Ukrainian just showing up and hitting cash money. Ukrainian drones strike Pantsir S-2 system, 2 oil depots, 2 Russian radars, and occupied Crimea. Russian officer accused of committing war crimes killed in Kiev in car blast. And that story has been removed. Interesting. If you find that article, let me know. It's about as close as you'll ever see the Russians admitting to war crimes. Idiot. Try to tariff India 250%. And he's like, oh, we're going to get a deal done. Oh, sure, Don. Jesus. Right? NATO intercepts Russian spy plane with the transponder turned off. Fuck that, man. So Russian spy planes regularly fly near foreign airspace. And yesterday, NATO had to dispatch 2 Polish fighter jets to intercept this Russian spy aircraft with its transponder turned off. And the thing about the story that I think is important is that Russia does this shit all the time. So good on Ukraine for destroying all your fuel. And 13 airports are shut down. Let's see how long you fly those recon missions with your transponders turned off. When it costs the other guy has to give you 2 MiGs to fly you out, right? So it's costing the bad guy, costing your enemy resources in order to escort you out of the airspace. The fuck out of here. Antagonists. Ooh, nice. Moscow under drone attack for third consecutive night. And not having a flight plan and flying a recon mission near NATO airspace? Intentional. That's intentional. And the fact that it happens all the time, intentional. It's like a tax on your neighbors. That's why I don't pay the HOA fee. Yep. The U.S. has axed the website for reporting human rights abuses by U.S. armed forces. Surely, eliminating oversight is the answer. Human Rights Reporting Gateway means it doesn't matter if you were going to report war crimes or not. The U.S. ain't going to do shit about it. Man accused of assassinating Japan's ex-prime minister Shinzo Abe pleads guilty. Says everything's true. There's no doubt I have done all this. Russia moves to year-round military draft among its recruiting issues. Yeah, and the Epstein files are about as world news as it gets, given that the thing that I have learned, okay, is that the president of the United States used his wives, he used his kids. He worked with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for the better part of 20 years and ran an international organized crime ring where Donald Trump paid Jeffrey Epstein $1.2 billion over 4,200 transactions to put Donald Trump in the same room as politically powerful people, wealthy people all over the world, and allowed Donald Trump to get to know people that he would never otherwise have gotten to know if it weren't for Jeffrey Epstein. So remember, Donald Trump is a fucking puppet. And the real masterminds, Vladimir Putin, Jeffrey Epstein, Bibi. And remember, Peter Thiel paid the Heritage Foundation for Russell Vought and J.D. Vance to produce Project 2025, which again has Donald Trump's name in it 210 times. And of course, J.D. Vance makes himself boy king. And again, remember, the whole point here is to push Donald Trump to the point where they have to use the 25th Amendment to remove him. And then, as I've said before, Nobody likes JD Vance and is willing to bend the knee. He's going to get memed into obscurity. Remember, I told you that he's not nearly as an effective leader. hmm Hey, this is fun. Ukraine confirms its first use of its Flamingo and Ruda long range missiles. Enjoy. Yeah, I spent all day watching Ryan Hall, y'all, and watching the hurricane hit Jamaica. From what I understand, its initial where the eye of the storm was, the actual landfall was east or west of where they thought it was going to be, and apparently that's like the thinner part of Jamaica, and then it didn't actually slow down the hurricane at all. And so they're fully expecting like Cuba to eat a Cat 4, Cat 5 hurricane too. So this is one of those ones that like it could hit. And again, I'm not a meteorologist. Take it with a grain of salt. But this bitch could hit Jamaica, Cuba, and then just keep going. Apparently. And again, I'm not a meteorologist. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just what I heard. But yeah, Val says a big Navy vessel coming in here to the Virgin Islands, St. Croix. Yeah, not surprised at all. Yesterday after the show, I saw this and just wanted to point out Israel created Hamas. So Benjamin Netanyahu, he helped create Hamas. Remember, I told you when the ceasefire was signed, Israel was flying bombing missions into Gaza. If you and I are meeting to talk about a truce, guess what I'm not doing as we're signing fucking paperwork? Sending my pilots on bombing runs. Yeah, that's the answer to that question. So I never expected that this peace was going to last because that's not what they want. Israel wants all of Gaza. And the only way that's going to happen is if they kill all of the people that live there. Especially the ones that are like, this is my home, I'm not leaving type shit. Right? Right. Israel says one of its soldiers was killed in Gaza. And then Benjamin Netanyahu ordered powerful strikes. 67,000. That was the number I saw of women and children killed by Israel in Gaza. Benjamin Netanyahu orders powerful strikes on Gaza after one IDF soldier died. Okay. That is a violation of the Geneva Convention. You kill one of mine, I'll kill 67,000 of yours? That's not how that works. Remember, the President of the United States is using all this military power. It was decreased to Cat 3. Joy. Okay? U.S. kills 14 on 4 alleged drug boats in the Pacific. Mexico's Navy is still searching for a lone survivor 400 miles from the Pacific coastal city of Acapulco. I just want to point out no drugs have been recovered because those were fishermen. Because those were extrajudicial murder. Donald Trump is raising the beaches so that he can either land the military or build a resort there on the North Shore of Venezuela. Remember, I told you that. Mhm. Remember, NVIDIA is going to be the first $5 trillion company. How about NVIDIA will build AI supercomputers for the U.S. Energy Department wants to get back into China? See? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. This is something I think. NATO allies shoot down unidentified drone over U.S. barracks in Estonia. Two unidentified drones flew near the Rito military barracks in South Estonia on October 17th, and Allied forces shot one of them down. Yeah. Time keeps on ticking, ticking, ticking. I can promise you he ain't making it long. Hong Kong companies funnel Canadian tech to Russian army. Hmm. Millions of dollars of Canadian technology has been shipped through a sprawling network of Hong Kong based shell companies to feed Russia's war machine, according to an investigation done by a human rights watchdog. Pretty big story. Two pretty big stories back to back. Actually, NATO's shooting down unidentified drones. All these Asian countries giving Donald Trump awards and shit. Trump was given South Korea's highest honor, a Silla Gold Crown. Most anticipated and beautiful obituary. That motherfucker died. The end. Fuck him and fuck all his supporters. Did I do that right? Ooh. Huge Brazilian raid on Rio gang leaves at least 64 people dead and 81 under arrest. That's a lot. That's a lot down in Brazil. All right, I think this might be our last international story of the day. Russia's interest in Antarctic oil exposed after Ukrainian scientists' arrest. Where's from in the raid in Georgia? In Brazil? No, a raid on a Rio gang left 64 dead, 81 under arrest. So it was like Brazilian army versus the gang in Rio. It's that's a lot of dead. 64 people dead, 81 arrested is a fuckload to use non-military terms. Or that might be a military term. But let's get away. I'm starting to see. All right, well, okay, here's the last. Here's one. Well, hold on. I could sit and do international news all day. There's that much shit going on all over the world. Mass killings reported in Sudanese city seized by paramilitary groups. See, everybody talks like a military occupation of your city is not that. Shut the fuck up. I feel the same way about a 20-year-old in the military as I do a 20-year-old with a police officer. That's a police officer. You don't have to have a college degree to join the military or be a police officer. That's the problem. The problem is judge, jury, and executioner is played by the kids that you went to high school with that were like poor students. Because there's no one that goes out and gets a 4-year degree and says, I'm going to go become a cop. You would be like a firefighter. You would have some honor and dignity. Anyway, just spitballing. Right, Bob? There he is. Just checking. Hey, remember, regardless of what's going on in the world, especially since we talk a lot about world news to start the show, because it's important to have a perspective of what's going on in the world as you try to develop a perspective of what's going on in the United States, because they're all connected. Mm-hmm. So when I see Putin or Bibi real pissy on the American side, I expect there to be some communication breakdown, for example. Yeah, between um, Putin and again, you got to understand for Vladimir Putin, I'm willing to bet you English isn't his first language. So part of the reason that shit is so fucked up all the time is that the guy giving the orders, English ain't his first language. The guy receiving the orders has fucking dementia, the brain of a fourth grader, and he can't read. Per Pete Davidson. Okay? Whatever they're doing in South Korea is working. What'd you miss? Hey boss. A bunch of shit going on internationally. What's the most important thing? In my eyes, there's a couple of them. There's a few of them. Here, hold on. Hoekstra went on an expletive-laced tirade at Ontario's trade rep. NATO intercepted a Russian spy plane with its transponder turned off with no flight plan and escorted it out of international airspace. That might be the most important thing that happened in the last 24 hours. Now, you could argue that Japan sending in the fucking army because 10 people were mauled to death by violent bears. 10 people. That's a lot. That's a lot of people that have died from bears since April. That's fucking crazy. And then 64 people died when the Brazilian army was called in to fight the Rio gangs. 64 people died, 81 wounded. So I think those are the three big stories, the international stories of the day. Obviously, there's a lot of shit going on with Russia and Ukraine and Palestine and Gaza, but I think military action when the antagonist is a non-human is fucking wild. And I'm not talking about Brazil. I'm talking about Japan. And then calling in the military to fight gangs sounds totally something like they would do in South America. And this is entirely based on Ghost Recon 6. My experience playing Ghost Recon 6 in South America. Let's talk about U.S. news. Funeral home worker dies after being crushed by concrete burial vault. You're welcome. Hey, it's going to be a wild Wednesday. November 11th. The countdown to the Rockland lawsuit, by the way. Striking Swedish workers take on Tesla. Feel like we're living in a Bond movie. Dude, I've said it's like 2012. Don't Look Up. Law enforcement kills several monkeys after truck hauling them overturns in Mississippi. Jesus Christ. Said the primates are not infectious. Yeah, except there's no James Bond. It's funny. There's no James Bond because bodies break. James Bond died the first time he ran down a crane and jumped off the shit. He impaled himself. And they were like, oh, we should just make movies and make believe because, like, this Bond character's like, ugh. Cruelty. Chaos. Leave the damn animals and kids alone, right? Chicago children are getting caught in the chaos of immigration crackdowns. And remember, the people that are ICE agents are the worst of us. It's not veterans, it's not former Leos, it's not good people deciding to go be ICE agents. It's the least of us. It's the people that couldn't get a job and keep one. It's the people whose views are so extreme that they're not welcome in the military. They're so extreme they're not welcome in police departments. Remember, there's my family worked in law enforcement. And one of the things that my cousin said, police departments hate to see an open Nazi. Why? Because that Nazi automatically thinks he and the police are on the same team. And so even if some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses, they hate seeing an open Nazi. Because a Nazi always sees the police as their ally. You're on my team fighting against them. That's how the Nazi sees the police. And it's important to remember, the Nazis infiltrate and then turn over orgs. That's what the fuck they do. Yeah? Because their awful fucking opinions are accompanied by, like, the threat of violence or exposure, right? Oh boy. Nazis. Australia denies a visa to the Dutch Olympian convicted of child rape. What the fuck? Steven van de Velde, convicted in 2016 of raping a 12-year-old in Britain, has been refused a visa to compete in the Beach Volleyball World Championships in Australia. Hey, look. ICE are the kids we should have aborted along the way. ICE agents necessitate medical abortion. Oh, you know what I saw yesterday that was like, what? All right, so I'm gonna just broad strokes. I'm painting with broad strokes. I don't know the story that well, but tell me, stop me if you've heard this one. So, uh, illegal immigrant, Trump supporter, big time Trump supporter, like a content creator. I want to say they were like the president of Latinos for Trump, or like high up within that kind of community. Again, broad strokes. Okay, gets gets fucking deported, right? And he's like, it'll be a few days. I'm one of Donald Trump's, right? Apparently he broke laws in the process. Again, painting with broad strokes, don't know. And Donald Trump's like turn the cheek. Like Donald Trump will let anyone can get it in terms of deported. Even the people that help him get him elected, which is some crazy shit, right? For someone to be like super pro Trump and then get fucked over by him. And again, I know he hurts the people closest to him the most, but this is how dumb shit is in Texas. I love Indiana Jones. Fuck yeah, Indiana Jones. Hey, you guys. Fucking love that movie. The series. Nobody thought that was funny, the Hey You Guys. India conducts cloud seeding trial to clear New Delhi's smog. Check this shit out. He's trying to be out to be a peacemaker internationally and fucking us all over here. Yeah. And I think part of the reason that they are withholding SNAP benefits from poor people, you know why? This is crazy shit. Uh, I saw a map of the United States and its intensity in terms of the deepness of the color was based on how reliant the population is on SNAP benefits and like where that is. Let me explain where in the United States uses SNAP benefits like at the highest levels. Are you ready? The northwest part of the United States. And I'm not talking about the Gold Coast. So I'm not saying the highest levels of SNAP users live in Washington, Oregon, California. No, no. No, no. Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. Oh, you say, Jared, that's fucking weird. Aren't those like super red states? Yeah, they are. And then the South. And I'm talking from like not including Texas. Can't just use that that's a big population. No, 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 no. All those southern states to the east of Texas. Yeah, they have super high intensity of SNAP benefits being used. Uh huh. And then the Virginias, the hills. So, as someone who loves numbers and population groups, guess who's not getting their SNAP benefits? KKK members. Yeah, that's right. Guess who's not getting? Um, yeah, guess who's not getting food stamps? Proud Boys. Guess who's not getting food stamps? The other militia members in these other states that have put drugs into their communities to the point where everybody's a fucking fiend or a dealer. And as someone who my brother's like first employee for the company that he owns is a three percenter or whatever, what the fuck ever, one of those biker gangs. As I can promise you, those places in the United States that have been overrun by like your biker gangs that are like taking care of people and shit. Uh, Super high populations of SNAP recipients. Just so you know, I did the research. It's great. Yeah. So the only problem is, I think the reason that they are withholding their SNAP benefits is to stoke violence upon uh, their enemies. So, so the whole point, yeah. If you really think about where bad guys live, so for those of you that don't know, consider this your education on where bad people live. They don't live everywhere. Bad people primarily live in your Utah, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, that area, the Appalachians, and the Deep South. And how do you know that? Because when you look at, and this is all based on the intensity, and we're talking about the percentages of people in the state. So it's based on each state, which state has the highest participation in SNAP. hmm hmm The South, the Virginias, and the Northwest Interior. Yes. And what is also common in the interior Northwest, the Appalachians, and the lower 5 to 7 states? Drum roll, please. Proud Boys, KKK. White supremacists. hmm if you look at where they're all from, all the white supremacists, all the militias, all the bad guys, where do they all live? Hmm? Yep, the uneducated. Where do they all live? When you look at cities, cities don't have nearly the intensity of SNAP benefit usage, which tells me if you live in the city, you work. You probably have a degree. You probably make enough money to not have to have SNAP benefits. And think about the prevalence of those jobs out in the country, right? Out in the hills where there isn't a college and people aren't getting educated even though they're farmers and shit. Yeah. So I think part of the reason to withhold SNAP benefits is to encourage violence on a mass level, where literal Proud Boys KKK are going door to door trying to tell people if you ain't about it, bye bye, and we're taking your fucking land. Like, that's the reason to withhold SNAP benefits, because look who it impacts the most, right? And if you're not using, and again, you got to think about being a manipulator and manipulating whole population groups. Remember what I said. I did a little bit of Google foo, okay? Did a little bit of Google foo. I don't think SNAP benefits go out on the first. I don't think that they're going out on the first. Apparently, there's a percent chance that Donnie Boy could use an emergency fund to get those things paid. It sounds like that means there could still be a delay. I'm on the they ain't getting paid. They ain't getting their benefits on the first. And here's why. Just so everybody understands why I don't think people are getting food stamps. I was spent all day yesterday playing Battlefield 6. The new season started. So 3 new maps, new guns, new game modes. It was a new battle royale. So for those of you that like your Fortnite, PUBG, Warzone style, the last man standing style, 100 people drop in style, Battlefield 6 came out with a battle royale. It's called RedSec. It's already better than Warzone was at any point ever. It's already better. So I spent all day yesterday playing the game, and I was talking to all the people I was meeting. And I met several people on active duty in the U.S. military. All of them were making comments, and I want to say there was probably like a handful. All of them were making comments how normally they would have a pending paycheck by now, at least. And they don't have pending paychecks. So I think yes, there's a $6 billion reserve fund that the president, as of yesterday, was not going to use. And one of my colleagues said, I think he does the reverse rug pull on Friday late, so on the 31st, and uses that emergency fund to get the benefits paid. But here's the thing, I don't know if there's time left for that. I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah. The coolest thing I saw was being able to call in a tank in a battle royale game. That's pretty badass. The other thing I saw was there was a helicopter in a game I was playing. And we ran to the helicopter and we were like, oh, it's just a prop. There's no way there's just a transport helo just sitting on this map and we could just get in it and fly it, and we could get in it and fly it. And we were like, huh. So you could call a tank into the map, dropped on your loc, and you could randomly run up on a helo. Well, we're already beating Battlefield. We're already beating Call of Duty. We're beating PUBG. Oh yeah, Fortnite cooked, completely cooked. They have better vehicles than Battlefield 6. And when you are tired of playing the BR, they have better modes, better game modes. Now, in the past, they didn't have all that. Battlefield 6 fell to Call of Duty's multiplayer and Warzone. That shit's over. Battlefield 6 they have a BR now that is crushing them. It has a team deathmatch mode, which is what Battlefield was losing players to Call of Duty over. It has that now. And it effectively has kill streaks. Uh, again, they had that in Call of Duty. So at this point, I'm not buying Call of Duty. Squirrel! Right? Yeah, so just make sure that you have it in your brain. People aren't getting food stamps on the first. That's an awful situation to be in, to be relying on a government program to feed your fucking kids. Imagine having kids and you're getting, you have 4 or 5 kids and you get food stamps and then you get nothing. So the sad thing is people are going to go hungry. And so I'm worried if Donald Trump flips on Friday, says I'll use the emergency fund to make sure people get their benefits. I still don't think they get them in time, and that makes them delayed. Benefits delayed or benefits denied, right? So again, I don't want anyone to go without. In fact, I want them to have more. I am not a proponent of food stamps. I want everyone to have universal income. $500 every Friday. Thanks for playing. If we're not going to raise the minimum wage, let's have a universal income. And it's pretty clear we're going to have to do something about the Supreme Court. Because I would be worried if the Democrats win the midterms, and what are they going to do with the fucking Supreme Court, right? So, but yeah, the reason I was talking about Battlefield is because I was talking to people on active duty that several of them made jokes. Looks like we're not getting paid, so that's why I brought it up. I know. Congressional Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton of D.C. scammed at home by a group claiming to be a cleaning crew. Police report says Norton has early stages of dementia. Hmm. Yeah, if you're trying to build up AI to take over our jobs, yeah. I mean, she's 88 years old. Saying she has dementia is just like, okay. Mm. Again, numbers, right? 16 people killed in a bus accident in central Bolivia. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hold on. At least 16 people were killed and 32 injured on Monday after a bus plunged 1,000 feet in central Bolivia. Stacey said, I'm confused in the Supreme Court. Aren't they lifelong seats? Yes. They can be impeached and they can resign, but otherwise it's a lifelong appointment. That's why I've said that regardless of what you want to do, you got to expand the Supreme Court. You've got to make it progressive, and then you have to pass an ethics agreement among Supreme Court justices that it's a lifetime appointment, but it could be taken away from you. You could do some fuck shit. Yeah. Yeah. That's sometimes y'all when we post a story, it's not cuz it's like historically significant. It's 16 people died in a bus crash and they fell 1,000 feet to their death. What? That's bananas. That's crazy. Trapped and terrified warnings as Sudanese militia seizes Darfur city. Yeah. And think about what having a progressive Supreme Court with expanded seats, passing an ethics agreement, holding them accountable, right? Because you may have been appointed for a lifetime, but you could be barred. Yeah, you can't get like voted out of that seat, but you could lose your job. And I think you ought to be able to lose your job as a Supreme Court justice. hmm By the way, as we switch to politics, talk about a battle bus. That was a great Fortnite joke. Great callback. Speaking of squirrel, um, Lindsey Graham whispers to Siri in Capitol hallway. She loudly replies, calling Sean Hannity mobile. Oh man, that's funny. from People magazine. You gotta add seats to the Supreme Court, pass an ethics agreement, and you gotta get rid of Citizens United. Uh-huh. In terms of like restoring power to the people. No, it was funny. It was funny. I'm with you there. Uh, I think this happened yesterday after the show, but still hilarious. Um, so Donald Trump has fired the entire agency overseeing his construction of the ballroom, his DC takeover. Two-thirds of Americans disapprove of this ballroom slash bunker, by the way. Apparently, this is a ballroom bunker. So, sounds so fun, by the way. Holy shit. Um, Not only, I mean, think about this. I read from a builder yesterday, someone who builds buildings, that based on the estimate, it's a couple $100 million ballroom, based on the size that it's supposed to be, it'd be like $3,300 a square foot. Okay? $1,000 a square foot is astronomical. So do you understand how that ain't a $200 million ballroom? That is a bunker, a corporate sponsored bunker underneath that ballroom. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So that the corporations have enthroned themselves. Mm-hmm. They won't. It won't last long. Mm-mm. Half the country is suing Donald Trump over his Snap shutdown. Gearing up for a dance battle. Can't even walk. Can't even dance either. Oh, I have to tell you something funny that happened. Taylor, don't be mad at me for talking bad about people we don't like. Okay? So we were at a wedding this past weekend. And everybody was drinking, have a good time. Wedding was great. The best part about this wedding, during the actual wedding ceremony, the people getting married did their vows privately. So all they did was, do you take this man, do you take this woman, kiss the bride, walk the fuck off. It was like, the wedding's over? Oh, that's great. I thought they were going to like cry and sob and, squeal into a microphone for 30 minutes apiece about how much they love each other and how they'll never be able to be with anybody else. And nah, fam, they did that shit before. That's great. And then, after the wedding and after the 17 ceremonies that follow, like the I don't know, the father daughter dance, the groom mom dance, the cake cutting, like all that shit. Then they started like dancing afterwards. Okay? And one of our relatives comes up to Taylor and I, well, came up to me and goes, "Let's do the Trump dance." And he bends his knees and does this shit like he's sucking two dicks all over the dance floor. And I'm just standing there, like, definitely not doing that shit. What the fuck? Like Taylor. And again, we had a laugh about it. Oh, it was great. Oh, it was great. Well, let's do the Trump dance. And in my head, I'm like, he can't dance. What the fuck are you talking about? And he did the fucking da da da, and I was like, oh god, no. No, first of all, a Trump dance. Second of all, like that shit? Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Uh-uh. I ain't hold on to that. Trump ordered secret East Wing tear down in F word rant. I just want to point out that white people in this country think that they are being like powerful when they cuss. Have you noticed this? Like Donald Trump saying the F word. The Democrats. My favorite shit is Eric Swalwell. He makes a video where every day the person asking him the question says, "Yo, Eric, what the fuck is up with Republicans?" Right? Like they're trying to be tough. Like being tough is saying fuck. You know what I mean? I just want to point that out. Never bunch of sissies in my whole life. Just point that out. Ice broke 6 ribs on a 67-year-old that was running as part of their running club. Donnie does 3 at a time. I just. No shit. Set a fucking constitution. No shit. Here's your no shit of the day, by the way. In case you were wondering. Reuters. Trump says the U.S. blocks him from. U.S. law prohibits him from seeking a third term, suggesting he does not intend to challenge the legal limits on presidential tenure. If you read it, it's pretty clear. I'm not allowed to run. It's too bad. Trump told reporters en route to South Korea. Keep in mind, they're trying his people are trying to suggest, oh, he's running again. He'll be president in 2028. He won't be alive. Yo, he's not making it. This motherfucker's talking about whether or not he's going to heaven in like the last week. He has never given a shit about anyone he's hurt his whole life until like the last 2 weeks. And he's talking about like going to heaven and shit. This motherfucker is seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and he realizes like this shit's fucking over. I'm telling you. Yeah. I would be shocked if he listen, not only is he going to lose the midterms, I'd be surprised if he makes it. Let's just be real. I'd be surprised he makes it to midterms. Hmm? Because I'm willing to lay odds. Mom Donnie and what was her name? I can't remember. She had a funny name in West Virginia or New Jersey. Was it New Jersey? New York and New Jersey or New York and where were the where were the two most recent U.S. elections? Governors, right? Yeah. Angie said he will not survive. Yeah. Mickey Sherrill. Thank you, Gabby. Is that in Jersey? Did Mom Donnie win? Oh, I guess it's like a week before the election. October 27th, this was posted. Oh, okay. So they're still voting. Not quite to election day. You know why I think Republicans are going to thrash Democrats moving forward? Not only is the data on my side, 38 of 40 elections, Democrats overperformed. I have never seen so many blowouts in my whole life. And I'm a Colts fan. I'm we blowing everybody out. I'm dead ass. Oh wow, Stacy, that's awful. Stacy says she took a nap yesterday and had a terrible dream. Ice came down the street, tried to get in the house, went for their dogs. Yeah. Yep. And remember, all of this shit that's going on is to distract you from the fact that the president is in the Epstein files. He's all over them fucking things, meeting with all sorts of unsavory people. He really wants to turn red. People are stupid here. Yeah, I hear it's the water, the drinking water. ICE is the Nazis. Yep. ICE are modern day Gestapo. A dream ruined your whole day. That's rough. That's rough. Green, Marjorie Taylor Greene says Mike Johnson refused to share health care plans on the GOP conference call. JR asks, are you a Democrat? No, I'm a socialist. I'm the founder of the American Socialist Party. I'm pro equality. That means I don't accept bigotry in any form. And that means I will stand up to homophobia, transphobia, racism, sexism, all that shit. So if you're any of them people, you ain't for me. And then, what the fuck, who dreams like that? People of color. Apparently, you'd know none of that. And then, was I Democrat? No. And I'd never call myself a Democrat because I've never met in my whole life people that called themselves Democrats and Republicans until about the last 10 years. And that's all disingenuous. You either are a racist, and it did never bothered you that for at least the last 20 years, the Republican Party and the KKK have been like this. At least for the last 20 years, per Richard Spencer, right? And then, are you a combat veteran? No. I'm very lucky. I was aboard the USS Baton as part of the 26 MEU and 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company, the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history. So I got a lot of buddies that are, and I don't know that that's particularly relevant. That's not particularly relevant. I know that it's a common talking point to say that the KKK was founded by the Democratic Party, but again, that's not relevant today. But tells me everything I need to know about you. Continue. It is not relevant. Nope. All those people are dead. So it's stupid. And then stupid people bring up the fact that the KKK was founded by the Democrat Party. I'm not a Democrat, so. And all the people that did all that are dead. So that's why it's not relevant. hmm Yep. Anything else? I'm over it. Block. I'm good. Yeah. I am worried about Halloween. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. You know this is true. 79-year-old Trump tried out an Indian accent. Yeah, no, it's not relevant. Nope. Nobody says, "Didn't you know the Democrats founded the KKK?" You're like, that was 200 fucking years ago, and all those people are dead. You're an idiot. Thank you for playing. Thank you for adding fucking nothing. Moving along. Hmm. Mm-mm. Oh, not a combat veteran, but it is. No, my battle buddy was murdered while I was on active duty, and you're a terrible person for even asking. Did you hear that? Yeah, my battle buddy was murdered while I was on active duty and they medically separated me against my will. So you're just a piece of shit. Mm-hmm. Yup. That's who you are. And you get to wear it, JR123097. Mm-hmm. So let's do a little search and see who you are. Want to play a game? Oh, he did file a late night appeal to get his 34 count felony charges dropped. Yeah, that must be Don Jr. Did you use one of those consultant companies to get you your full disability? Nope. I went through the Wounded Warrior Project at the behest of my battle buddy's wife, who again was murdered while we were on active duty, and I was medically separated against my will because of my proximity to a Marine whose life was taken stateside on active duty. Yes, yes. They worked very hard to make sure that I had nothing to fucking do with his death. I wasn't even in the same state when he died. Not only not my fault, but you're kind of a piece of shit. Yeah, that's how that works. I love these fucking headlines. The New Republic reporting Trump wanders off while meeting the Japanese Prime Minister. Don't you love the attempted gotcha? Yeah, it's all to incite you, right? There's no rhyme or reason. There's no reason you would do that. hmm This is, oh, the New Republic with these headlines. And you know, less than 1% of all the people that ever served are combat veterans. Did you know that that means that 99% of disabled veterans are not combat veterans? Oops. Pete Hegseth is requiring military officials to sign NDAs. the let me read this headline in our language. The leopards eating face party has continued to eat leopard face. Fresh Republican shutdown divisions erupt in private call. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Californian Republicans retreat as anti-Prop 50 campaign fails. Ro Khanna, Bay Area congressman, to introduce a bill to ban politicians from stock and crypto trading. Think about all the information that elected officials are privy to. Why should they get to go to market and invest before you with more information than you have? A Chicago judge has to tell a border official that kids in Halloween costumes are not a threat. As Donald Trump threatens to send National Guard troops into more cities. A reminder that Republicans control the Supreme Court, the presidency, the House, and Senate. This is their government shutdown. Okay. When benefits don't go out on the first, Republicans to blame. When the military doesn't get paid, Republicans to blame. When the bill that was put forward to pay federal government employees, like air traffic controllers that have been working for a month without pay, when that bill fails and all those people continue to go without pay and benefits, we'll see about that protest. They fired a lot of the top ICE agents, replacing them with corrupt Border Patrol. Yeah, that's because these Border Patrol guys have been um, enabled in their current role, like as BP, where they've been doing whatever the fuck they want anyway. And the guys in ICE, they're green. They don't have all the experience that BP would have, right? So, and the leader of the Border Patrol has shown that he don't have a problem sticking his neck in there. I just hope it gets cut. You know what I mean? I just hope nothing but bad shit continues to happen. Hmm. Bush appointed judge predicts Trump will cause America's ruin. Donald Trump got confused explaining water to the Navy. Who had to report to a judge yesterday? Trump? Bob said, just thinking what I'm going to say to a parent that lets their child dress like an ICE agent here in Ruby Red, Missouri. Well, Bob, I would have my kids dressed up as The Rock and Stone Cold, and I would be running around spearing people like Triple H, and then dropping the people's elbow on their little ICE agent kid. Hmm? Yeah, from the top ropes. And if it's two girls, they can just lock hands and clothesline motherfuckers. That's what they could do. Mike Johnson complains that he's tired, even though the house isn't working. Oh, Bovino had to report. Got it. All right, here we are, 90 minutes ish. We start the show, okay, and we didn't today because I wanted to talk about how military is not getting paid, SNAP benefits ain't going out. Okay, here's your war, Edwin Starr. Okay, little bit of eat the rich. Yeah, poor little flaccid Johnson. Yeah, a little bit of war, a little bit of eat the rich, a little bit of y'all bot. Okay, what we do after what happened In Texas, I decided we're going to spend a couple minutes at the end of the show. Okay. Talking about weather. Okay. Here we go. Oh, god damn it. So we'll wait till y'all bot pans out. Okay. I saw urban flood risk in New York City. Frost advisories issued for Kansas and Missouri. Ooh. Cat 2 Hurricane Melissa slams Cuba, Bahamas with life-threatening floods. All right, here we go. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right, so in the northwest part of the country, there is a boomerang shaped storm hitting north central Oregon, southeast Washington, and the north part of Utah, and the west there of west side of Montana. Now, there are wind and freeze warnings as far west as the middle of Arizona, which again has seen some unseasonable weather, right? And those warnings push all the way through uh, Kansas. Okay, so from as far west as central Arizona through the east end of Kansas, freeze and wind and warnings like that. Now, as far as actual moisture, okay, there is a massive storm system, again, basically from Kansas, Oklahoma, all the way to the Virginias, as far north as Iowa, and all the way to Mississippi. So big storm. Look how big this storm is. Okay, you can see it pretty plainly. See how big that is? That's big. That is a big storm system, and the real focal point of that storm is going to be sort of like a five-state area. Okay, so that would be uh, the southeast corner of Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, the entire western half of Kentucky, and the western tip, and a lot of Tennessee actually, and then a lot of Missouri, a lot of just the focal point though is in that little meeting place down there where the I don't know what is that 1, 2, 3, 4 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1, 2, 3. It's like the five-state area. You're going to go through it. Keep your head on a swivel otherwise. Obviously, there's storms in like the Bahamas and stuff. Okay. Jamaica airport totally destroyed. Oh my God. Anyway, have a fantastic hump day.